It doesn't matter if you're a die-hard Resident Evil fan who has been with the franchise since the beginning, or an average gamer, you have heard how good Resident Evil 4 Remake is multiple times. The game was released back in 2005 as an exclusive title for GameCube, but then was relaunched on other platforms due to it not performing as well as they expected to, which we all know was a great choice. Not only it made Capcom tons of money, but also made Resident Evil 4 accessible even more. Roughly 20 years later, we were introduced to the enhanced version of Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 Remake was announced at State of Play as the first trailer kicking in with a badass flamenco piece. Later on Capcom Showcase, the gameplay was revealed and it seemed a lot like Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes. So this makes fans, including me, wonder if the remake is gonna be any better. Or how could it even be better than Resident Evil 4? Or is it even possible to be better than Resident Evil 4? Stick till the end to find out. I remember being super hyped for Resident Evil 4, and I was simply blown away with the first trailer. But I gotta be honest, as I watched the second trailer, I was less interested, and here is why. To me, the absolute best Leon is from Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil Degeneration, the CGI animation. These two are the most badass Leons. Resident Evil 2 is a rookie no matter if you play the original or the remake. And 6, well, let's just forget about that. Resident Evil 4 Remake's Leon seems a bit incomplete, especially from this view. See for yourself. Resident Evil 2 Remake's trailer was the same. Leon's face was a bit different than what we got in the retail Resident Evil 2 Remake. All I'm hoping is that they try to fix some of the models, as I even found some of the 3D models not even be completed, even in the first trailer. Here is an example. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Leon's face is not good. In fact, anyone who had survived the Raccoon City incident and lost a beloved one would have been the same. All I'm saying is that the face is not complete. So we all know Resident Evil 3 Remake and how it simply cut everything out that made Resident Evil 3 Resident Evil 3. And you might even be familiar with Resident Evil 1 Remake 2, as it is mostly reputed as Resident Evil perfected. But which way should the remake go towards? I would say somewhere in between, as every fan has played Resident Evil 4 at least once and knows the ups and downs and their way around. So approaching the remake by trying to release a scene-by-scene remake wouldn't be the way to go, as the game would just turn into a RE engine Resident Evil 4. And at the same time, it should avoid cutting things. Well, let's be real, it is not gonna happen, as the previous two remakes were their own Resident Evil by cutting things out and reimagining the games. Something like a reboot, but not entirely. It is simply undeniable that some of the things are gonna get cut, but to what extent exactly? They should not cut things out that are iconic to the game. For some instance, as the majority of the fans say, cheesy dialogues, boss fights, QTEs, and many more. There were actually some leaks around regarding the cut content, suggesting the remake may have a couple of boss fights cut and turns a whole boss fight into a QTE. As to cutting boss fights, I cannot think of any boss being cut except for U3. And at the end, these are just leaks and are not reliable. So far, the trailers and the screenshots have shown two guns returning to RE4. Mainly two handguns, Silver Ghost and the Red 9. One of the most iconic elements of Resident Evil 4 are its guns. Without them, the game wouldn't have felt as half enjoyable. So far, seeing the two beloved handguns return makes me feel good, and can confidently say that we are gonna be having the shotgun. But the others, I'll let you predict them down in the comments. The Merchant was yet another iconic aspect of Resident Evil 4. Revealing his identity would be the worst way to go with, and the only change that I would like to see are seeing his relation with the Duke and him having more dialogues and helping Leon out during the playthrough. Hunnigan was firstly introduced in Resident Evil 4, helping Leon along his mission, but her role is reduced to only some certain cutscenes. It would be awesome to see Hunnigan in the White House, and Hunnigan and Leon talking about the mission brief. Krauser was the reason Resident Evil 4 ever happened. He was firstly introduced in Resident Evil 4, but the lore behind it was later told in another game. The backstory, in my opinion, has to be a DLC where you would play Operation Javier, if the whole game is not planned to be remade. But aside that, cutting Krauser would be the worst way to go with. His iconic knife fight and the fight on the tower are simply unforgettable. And I even think it would be even more epic to fight Krauser as the final fight after Sadler. Let me know what you think. Ada is another major role, and her expansions were okay, but they could go two ways here. either making a new DLC out of the two, as the leaks have suggested, or my personal favorite, making an A and B scenario, something like Resident Evil 2 where you could choose to play between Leon and Claire, but more like Resident Evil 1, cause the two scenarios have gotta feel a bit different. Wesker had the least lore in my opinion. He has to be either entirely removed or has to be involved more, not only in Mercenaries but also as a boss fight, as it would be awesome to see Leon and Wesker finally meet. Mercenaries should not be cut, or it will ruin the game's replayability. In my opinion, Resident Evil 5's Mercenaries was the best. Not only it had tons of characters that you could play as, but it also had tons of maps that you could choose to play in. Aside from that, there were some DLCs that added some playable characters to the Mercenaries. So let's just say the remake of Resident Evil 4 needs more variety in Mercenaries. Ashley, she is mostly referred to as the most annoying character in the whole franchise. Well, so far she seems a lot better than the original, but it would be awesome to see her change a little bit. Maybe become less annoying, or maybe play as her a little bit more. Or even she could help Leon out during the playthrough, as the leaks have already suggested. So that'll do it for this video. Make sure to comment down your thoughts on Resident Evil 4. And if you have come so far and enjoyed this video, then please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'm a Raccoon City survivor, and as always, thanks for watching.